Yes, sir. The American agent has infiltrated the X-Lab facility.
Welcome back to the Funker 530 Combat Footage Review. My name is Ronnie. I'll be your host once again, as though that has really ever changed. But it's Friday, so it's a little bit more time for us to take a trip around the worldwide world of warfare. We're back. Do me a favor, tap on the like button, drop the comment in the chat, letting me know that you guys are here hanging out with me. It does support the channel because this stream is free, so I really appreciate it when you guys do that. We got a pretty heavy show to cover tonight. Just some admin notes before we get started. This will be next week. I won't be here. I'll be on a little bit of travel, but then we'll be right back on schedule the week after that. We've had a lot. I have personally had a lot of travel at the tail end of this year. So there was a solid, I don't know, 6 or 7 weeks where we didn't end up with a show, but we are back on schedule. So on Tuesday nights, you'll catch me live on the gaming stream over there, raising a little bit of money for charity. And on Friday nights, we're right here talking about war. And we're going to get started right out of the gate with that by stopping by Israel. Now, we're going to get to the thumbnail footage here in a little bit, but I do want to give you one of those. This is one of those shows where I'm going to give you the discretion advised ahead of time. War happens in the stuff that we're going to be watching today. But first, we're headed to Khan Yunis here, this exact building, and then I'm going to give you another geolocation. I'm going to take you to here, which is technically 2 spots here, and this is Gaza City, so in the northwest of Gaza City. So there's actually 2 buildings here. We're going to see a series of Israeli airstrikes that were, I want to say within the last 72 at least. Well, forgive me on not remembering which day this next bit of footage took place. But these are reportedly strikes targeting Hamas leadership, and they are in response to what the Israelis say was a breach of the ceasefire, essentially a breach. And I'm going to show you an example that the IDF provided earlier. Actually, I want to say this one was available last week and we just didn't cover it. Anyway, here is the footage of those airstrikes. So Israel is claiming that Hamas breached the ceasefire, and this is the resulting airstrike because of it. I see you at the door, Jeff. Now, these quote-unquote leaders, their post does note which ones specifically. I didn't take down their names, but these are reported to be individuals that had involvement in the October 7th attacks. There's those 2 buildings that I mentioned. Wish I could show you my puppy, Jeff. Some of you guys know who Jeff is, but he's, for the first Funker show since I've had him, he's sitting right outside the door out there. But if I let him in here, he's probably going to chew on all the cables. All right, let's bring it back up. Now, I'm going to show you an example of one of those. Again, the best that I have is what the IDF has reported of one of those ceasefire breaches, specifically crossing that yellow line that we talked about last week. Now, this kind of explains it as we go through the video here, but this is reportedly Israel monitoring armed militants, I can at least tell you that much, as they cross this yellow line, and could have been one of the catalysts to installing those very large markers that we talked about last week. Anyway, this is the footage. There is a strike at the end of it. Now, this is not me saying that this specifically is the ceasefire violation that those airstrikes that we just watched were resultant from. This is just me showing an example of the IDF claiming ceasefire or crossing the yellow line violations. Note, they are armed. There's an AK there. Oh, there was another one. This guy in the front, I think, has... No. Might be just this guy. That might be the same dude. I don't know. Cables are forbidden black licorice. He already chewed through one of them. So I've got a series of lights in the back of the American Marksman studio that just help, bring the exposure in the room. Just it helps with keep the background properly lit. Chewed right through that bad boy. Yeah, that light's off now. Anyway. All right, let's move to the next bit of footage that I have, which this one's an interesting one. I'm going to take you to a location here. We're going to do the map sounds. Just outside of this building. So actually, we're going to go to this spot right here. Now, the framing is about like this. I want to say it is. And it's filmed by an IDF drone. What we're going to see is, I'm just going to describe what the video shows. A body falls out of this building. And then 3 dudes bury that body. 3 or 4. I don't remember how many. And then an excavator comes and then digs that body back up and drops it on the ground about here. And then a bunch of either Red Crescent or Red Cross personnel take photos of that. That's what you're going to see in the video. Here comes the video. There's that body. Or what is presumed to be a body. Reported to have been a body. These are supposedly the remains of Ofir Tsarfati. I don't know if I pronounced that properly. I did my best to. His partial remains were recovered in December of 2023. Now, there's a little bit of back and forth going on because the way that was initially reported was that his body was recovered in December of 2023. But the way I understand it, and I'm happy to be corrected, only partial remains were recovered previously. Now, the narrative behind this video is that this is Hamas, and they are essentially burying this body. They had it in their possession, and then uncovering this body for these either, again, Red Crescent or Red Cross personnel in what is supposed to be a show of good faith. Want to fight, bro? Are you talking to me? Just watching this back through. So again, you saw, we'll take you through each of the phases here. So there's that body getting pushed out of that building there. And then they're covering it up. And then in comes the heavy machinery to, I guess, high five all around and say we found a hostage, a body. I don't know. Now you have seen that footage, though. Let's go around the world really quick, and then I want to get into the Ukraine segment tonight because we got some pretty heavy footage. I want to stop through Mexico. I told you I'd be paying as much attention to Mexico as I could. I've got some drone footage. This is going to be El Chapo, or Chapo Isidro, dropping munitions on one of their rival cartels. We're going to head to this spot here. This exact spot. And I want to say the drone's perspective we're seeing is like this, if I remember this video correctly. This is another one of those, people that I'm happy to recommend as a source, especially for, and specifically, I should say, not especially, specifically for cartel violence. It's all _source_news. He's really been publishing the majority of what I've found from Mexico. So again, always trying to let people know where I find this stuff. It's not me out there posting it or getting it from its original source. We are a center of gravity for footage. Here's the footage.
Tomen los pinches perros a la verga, loco. Para su madre, perro.
So the obvious reason that I share this kind of stuff is capabilities, TTPs. Right. And this is not the first time we've seen a drone drop, drone use, whether it be ISR, gathering information, or using it as a form of fires, as a munition itself. The majority of what we've seen, though, there goes that munition. The majority of what we've seen, though, has been cartel versus cartel. Now, if I'm not mistaken, please correct me. I'm always happy to be corrected because I'm not a news anchor. I do believe that the cartels have leveraged these drone capabilities against the Mexican military as well. Happy to be corrected on that, though. All right, let's bring it up. That's actually all I have in the Around the World segment. We're going to start in Crimea. This isn't really combat footage, but I thought it was interesting. Anytime you see something that's not supposed to fall over, that's really big, it's a little interesting. We're going to Crimea. Once I can get the map to work. There we go. Paste. We're going to go to Sevastopol, where we're going to watch this big-ass crane fall into the water. I don't know why it fell into the water. I just found it to be interesting that it did fall into the water. So here comes that bit of footage that I have for you. Whoops. I don't think it's supposed to be a ship. I mean, it's a submarine now, but... yeah, I mean, the whole get up there flipped. That's not supposed to happen. All right, let's head to Kherson. Specifically, we're headed to Oleshki first, where we're going to see a couple of French-supplied AASM hammers hitting Russian positions. Let's head to the map, and we'll go to this spot. There's some footage I'm trying to get us to here. So this building, obviously, on that left bank, or the, south side of the river. Kherson proper here. And that place was, or at least a portion of it, was reduced using AASM hammers, or at least one. Now, the important part about this, though, is the way this video starts is you're going to see a gentleman walk out from that building. He's going to pick up a drone and walk right back into it. Let's turn that music off. All right, let's bring it back up. This is where I'm going to pause for a second. The next video that we're going to watch, I hate using this word, but it is the best word to describe it because there are a lot of military veterans that watch footage here, and many of them were a part of the global war on terror. And the video that you're about to watch is a potential trigger warning for you. You're going to see a video of a team of Ukrainians in their Rochelle Senator. Now, they're somewhere near Kostentinivka, I want to say is how you pronounce that. I don't know exactly where. I did try to geolocate this using a specific building that's in there, but I did my best and I wasn't able to find it out. The best I can give you is my best. But the reason I wanted to show it to you is it's probably one of the most context-rich videos I've ever seen of the actions immediately post-blast in an armored vehicle and what things look like when you're trying to recover personnel from that. So here comes that footage. Again, discretion advised. Here you are.
братва, блядь. Сука. Блядь. Тяни, витягуй. Можеш іти, і ти можеш. Підніміть. Проведи його туди до шини. Брат, вилазь. Давай, пробуй, брат. Давай. Блядь, я вірю, брат. Брат, назад, пробуй назад, до мене, я тебе держу. Давай. Фонарик. Отходь, брат. Ти живий? У нього голова роз'їбашена, пізда. Евак визвав?
Так.
Щас ми тебе, братик, витягнемо. Сука, тут зажало. Терпи. Все, броня мой, мінус.
Нога болить сильно і рука права.
А так цілий? Перелом може бути, брат.
Та не можу сісти.
То йди, давай я тебе посажу.
Не чую.
Буду жити, брат.
Я понял.
Должен. Та виходу нема, понял? Діти є?
Есть, конечно.
Конечно, брат, значить будеш прикол. Піднімай голову. Все, лягай. Аккуратно.
I see a lot of questions in the chat about what it was. We'll talk about that in a second.
Ви вже, якби ви не були в каналі. Я як вискаку думаю, я що маю з цим робити? Сидіш. Та нічого, добре. А ви звідки будете?
Лежак.
Це патрульна?
Ні, нема. Да, патрулька.
Звідки?
Житомир. Голову, пригинай. Давай. Сідай. Акуратно, голову придержуй йому голову. З Богом, братик.
Сейчас, броню, подождите, сейчас.
Все, братва, давайте з Богом.
All right, let's chat about this one for just a second. So I see somebody trying to hold me accountable for not telling you what happened to this vehicle. And that's because I don't know. I actually did as much research into this as I could. Once again, including trying to geolocate it. So the specific building I attempted to geolocate this with is this Mustang dealership. Now that can't be too hard to find if I had, a few more resources to look it up. I'm going to try and show you that right now, just in case any of you are inclined to research that. There can only be so many Ford Mustang dealerships in Konstantinivka. But I did want to note the damage that we have to the vehicle. So this is overwhelmingly likely a mine, in my opinion. I'll give you full screen there. Overwhelmingly likely a mine. Now, this Rochelle senator, I'm going to take us off of this screenshot here. This Rochelle senator is, if I recall and understand correctly, a Ukrainian-developed armored vehicle. Were they not to have been in this in one of those, I don't know, Scooby-Doo vans, whatever they're called, the bread loafs, that entire crew would be dead. This is the reason that the MRAP style vehicles exist. Anyway, I did want to show you in Konstantinivka what that city looks like. Here is a little bit of contextual heavy footage to show you Konstantinivka. Gotta turn the sound off though. Note a lot of a lot of the buildings here just been struck. You know, all these marks, these are burn marks on the high rises. Konstantinivka is just outside of the forward line right now. And it's actually, we can head over to UA control map just to start to contextualize that just a little bit more. It's actually just to the northeast of Pokrovsk. So for those that aren't keeping in touch with the things that are happening on the forward line, I do want to make a note about UA control map though. So it's what I use primarily because it allows me to quickly search and give you a relative understanding of where things happen along the forward line. What I never know, though, is how accurate the forward line assessments are on this. There are a multitude of maps that are out there, all that vary in some cases, the dozens of kilometers on who holds what ground. But generally speaking, they allow me to place in time and space where these videos are. So let's go back to Konstantinivka. This is Pokrovsk. We're going to be talking heavily about that. And I'm going to be rehashing some footage we watched last week to contextualize some additional footage. This is Konstantinivka. Here. So there is a heavy, actually, let's go ahead and some of the other features that I really like on this is that I can turn things on and off. There is a heavy push, if I understand, from Russia here, as well as here. Oh, sorry about that, guys. There you go. I never know what you're looking at versus what I'm showing you. I just end up spurging out on the map a little bit. Anyway, let's move on to our next bit of footage. We're headed straight to Pokrovsk. Excuse me. We're going to stop in Stepova first. In Stepova, I've got it's pretty rare to see tank-on-tank footage. It just frankly is. That's not me saying that tank-on-tank engagements are rare. That's me saying that from a footage perspective, you don't typically find that. And it looks like we're not going to find it this time because for some reason that post is gone. Just showing you that it's no longer there anymore. So now we are headed to Pokrovsk. I'm going to take you to a video that we watched last week and a geolocation of that. Let's head back to UA control map. And I don't even need to search this. I'll show you exactly where it takes place. Full map here. So let's go. We're in Pokrovsk. We're going to zoom all the way down here. This building right here. Last week, we watched a Ukrainian airstrike hit this building. And I've said this before, when we're watching Ukraine drop artillery in a certain spot or drop an airstrike on a certain spot, or we're watching Russia do that, that's 99.99% going to be because there is an adversary in that location. So the thing I want you to remember is in that location, at least at that time, and that strike took place, I want to say on the 24th or 25th, there were Russians in that strike. I'm going to show you that strike one more time, and we watched it last week. Some of you will remember it. There's a reason I do that. I'm doing this. Stand by. Here comes the footage. That was the building to the right, my bad. Almost had it. So all of this kind of taking place in and around that northern area of Pokrovsk, if I understand. Yes, Mr. Larry. Jeff the doggy. Yeah, he is out there absolutely terrorizing the place. Again, we watched this last week. There's a reason I'm showing it to you. It's just to, I don't know why we continue to see footage of Russians standing still around FPV drones. It's just to contextualize some footage that we're going to watch here in a second. Probably one of the ballsiest operations we've seen for quite a while. All right. This next bit of footage, I want to give you a couple bits of information. Ukraine has 3 Blackhawks total in its inventory. All 3 of those Blackhawks are operated by the GUR, by the military intelligence. anytime you see an operation, including a United States made and donated Blackhawk, that typically means that it's going to be of a high priority operation. Well, let's head over to the Funker 530 account, and I'm going to give you some footage of an operation that recently took place. Now, this operation specifically is, and reportedly, I should say reportedly, not specifically, is to either open up or stabilize supply lines into Pokrovsk. First, let's check the map. So those buildings in that area that we were just talking about are here. The video you're going to watch next is going to be a Blackhawk, right? So keeping in mind that we just watched a video of Ukrainians having to engage Russians with FPV drones, airstrikes, etc., all throughout this northern area of Pokrovsk. This Blackhawk is going to drop about a dozen SOF operators in this exact spot right here, and they are going to push into these buildings under tracer fire. Now, the tracer fire is outgoing, so I shouldn't say under tracer fire. I have no idea what the result of this operation was, but again, what was reported, and this was just within the last like 5 or 6 hours, what was reported is that this operation was ultimately to open up or stabilize this supply line, one of these two at least. Now, let's watch the footage, then we'll come back and we'll talk about it. Here comes the footage. It's a little bit grainy. It's the best I've got. There's that Blackhawk. Again, one of 3 Blackhawks in Ukraine's inventory. And you can actually, if you pay close attention, you can either see rotors here or you can see potentially a door gunner. No, I think it's just rotors spinning. Never mind. Yep, just rotors. But you will start to see tracer fire, outbound tracer fire at least. There it is. Dispersion there. I did count these guys, and it's, when you see them close to the chopper, I want to say I counted like 11, maybe 12. There might be one outside of the view. Video is an imperfect lens into reality. But that is ballsy. And the reason it's ballsy is you don't see, even under normal circumstances, you don't see Russians doing chopper insertions. You don't see Ukrainians doing chopper insertions. The last time we saw a Blackhawk insertion was that operation that took place up north. And they dropped them behind the lines. It was like 2 Blackhawks, if I'm not mistaken. I didn't have the time, but I wanted to go back and see if I could find that footage as well, because we covered it here. But I will say that all the, pro-Russia accounts have already started saying that this operation didn't go well. Hi, Jeff. I haven't seen, and I did check Telegram, any kind of report on how this went. There have been a couple of conversations I ran into on Twitter just trying to research this, where people were talking about having advanced knowledge of this, hearing reporters from within Ukraine talking about this as being a major operation that was planned and then executed. I have absolutely zero more information other than the exact location of where this takes place and the context surrounding what was happening in that location, which, again, Ukraine was having to engage Russians in that spot. Now, these guys are putting down a base of fire when they go to move on those positions. So I don't know if they're under fire right now or if they're doing so just because it's best practice. That's ballsy, though. It's also important to note that chopper, for those of you that are wondering why they didn't just drive in there, chopper is actually probably the safest route for them to have done this. If you think about what we've been seeing for years at this point, every small, fast tactical vehicle that you can imagine trying to push in there is either going to hit a mine or it's going to get hit by a robot mine that's flying in the sky. Drone coverage over Pokrovsk is absolutely dense right now. So a chopper is probably the best and fastest way to get in there and the safest to get, 12, 13, 14 dudes on the ground really quickly to shore up at least one small area. Ballsy, very, very much. Let's move on. I want to pause here for a second and check in on the support, and thank you guys very much for it. We've got Current Event Nerd. Welcome to the Funkers. Appreciate you very much. Nice guy. What's going on, dude? I see. Yeah, I'll answer that question here in a second. Sami, thank you very much for the 762. Hell yeah. I appreciate that so much. The stream's free, guys. No need to do that, but thank you so much when you do. Is there any info on how these groups usually operate? Should we assume there were a couple other inserts nearby or just this one? Well, that's interesting. That's an interesting question, right? So I wouldn't say that I have the knowledge to answer it, but I can tell you what I've seen writ large. Small, very mobile insertion teams that can take and hold ground, whether temporarily or permanently, until additional forces can come up. What we saw in the late 2023 counteroffensive with these massive elements that would be pushed forward by Ukraine is they were running into walls and walls of mines. So it's not unlike what we see from Russia. The wave tactics of now aren't the same that you would imagine from an enemy at the gates type situation. Now, for these guys, there could very well be, another element that's supporting them. I'm willing to bet there are absolutely, drone operators that are just smashing that spot. They probably dumped artillery in there, provided as much combined arms support as possible. Whether there's another ground element or not, no idea, bro. But willing to bet that they had some level of support structure, because you got to think about the resources that they're using here as well. So if they only have 3 of these Blackhawks, they are all assigned to the GOR, to the military intelligence crews, those dudes that they just put on the ground are probably going to be some of their best guys. That's what I read from that. I don't know who they are. I don't know, what they're, all I know is that they're reportedly soft, but when you walk the logic dog on that, it makes sense. Anyway, let's move on to our next video. Here is a video from the same general area. Sorry, wrong button. One of these days I'll figure out how to work all of my stuff. Jeff's still crying. If he keeps crying, I'm going to have to let him in. We are headed to here. No, we're not. My bad. Well, I'm going to have to go find this video once I give you the geolocation of it. But it's here. And the video that I know that I can go find, it's just going to take me a second. You guys might have to chat amongst each other. There's a Russian vehicle, and it's moving along this road here. It gets hit by a FPV drone, excuse me, and the crew then dismounts, and then they get targeted by an FPV drone. So let me see if I can grab, or if I can find that quickly. For some reason, I didn't paste it. Talk amongst yourselves. Somebody played Jeopardy music. Nope. 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 No, I might not be able to find it, guys. Oh, found it. Hey, here you are. Free Jeff. Yeah, that poor little guy. Boom. Why name the dog Jeff? Well, it turns out I have free will. And I'm a big fan of Thomas Jefferson, so his name is actually Jefferson. But his friends and family call him Jeff. My name is Jeff. Oof, look at that foot, man. Yikes. I should have given you a heads up on that one. I actually don't remember. I don't remember reviewing that footage that far into it. Yikes, man. All right, let's head to Pokrovsk. Listen, man. there are like multiple Konstantinivkas, there are multiple Pokrovskis, there are multiples of cities. I'm going to give you a geolocation for this one. Okay? Because it's called Pokrovski, but it's not Pokrovsk. We're going here. Okay. Now this is going to be a Russian fiber drone, well behind the forward line. Just head out here to UA control map. See Pokrovski. But I'd like to. The Russian fiber drone is going to hit a Ukrainian truck here. That was the wrong thing to paste. Here you are. Make note of this bridge. I'm going to show you that strike here in a second. All right, let's come back up. I'm going to show you that bridge, and then I'm going to show you another bridge as well. We're going to do both on the map before we get there. Again, just more of that conditioning that I talk about. Note the location on the forward line as well. This area being contested here, generally speaking, at least. Now, there are a few bridges that, and a few Ukrainian units. Let's just go ahead and turn that layer on. UA control map here. Nope, that's not the one. Here we go. And a few Ukrainian units that would have to traverse this water feature into Pokrovski and beyond to kind of get out of that location. Well, there are a couple bridges that get targeted by Russia here. I want to say one of them is here. I'm going to show you a strike on that bridge over the Vovcha. And then another here. This is the one that you just saw. I'll show you some footage that includes both of those strikes. There's that first bridge. Just multiple munitions hitting there. I mean, it's minute a barn door accuracy with this damn thing, but when it's accuracy by volume at this point. Missed? No, there was enough saturation there that they ended up crushing that thing. Note the vehicle's traversing that right now. That one missed. What did they drop? It looks like, what is it? UMPK. So you can actually see the munition here. Maybe. Yeah, like that one was borked. This one hits way out here. I don't know though. Because the actual munition itself seems pretty small. But it's definitely got some yield on it. Yeah, please do tap on the like button, guys. It helps quite a bit. And you can actually see that that one as well. There, it's right there. I don't know what that munition is though. So just inside of that box there, right there. Now let's use these vehicles, right? So this is, looks like an SUV of some kind right here. The wingspan on that is not small. That is not a small munition. And I mean, look at that. And we saw in the last video the end result of them targeting this bridge. This bridge does get taken out. Almost like a Lancet. Yeah, with a lot more payload though. At least in my opinion. I don't have the stats on the Lancet payload, but maybe some secondaries. I don't think so. It's UMPK. Fab 250 UMPK. Yeah, that's what I assumed when you see the wings there and the the blast yield. But I don't know. Brandon, thank you for the 5 gifted, buddy. I appreciate that, dude. Welcome to the Funkers, everybody. I will just say welcome to Bremner's Ghost, Zephan, Lindrios, Dark Art Designs, and Smith Wesson. Hell yeah. I don't even own a Smith & Wesson. All right, let's move to Rodinsky. I don't know exactly where this takes place, but it's reported to be Rodinsky, and it is a BTR-4, just kind of chewing up what is reported to be Russian positions. Let me log into the site before we have that issue we have all the time. Remember, there is always an ad-free version of Funker 530 if you'd rather have that. So here's that BTR-4. It's a Ukrainian BTR-4. What lever gun do you have? I have a Marlin 1895 Dark that's had custom work done to it by Mad Pig Customs. Mad Pig are the folks that did the lever gun for John Wick, the John Wick movie. Like John Wick 4, I think it is. This is a black guy that's walking around with the takedown. It's that 30 millimeter on top of the BTR-4. I'm pretty sure there's music on this. Yeah, keep that off. I got hit with a copyright problem on the last stream. I don't remember leaving the music on. Brag about it. He's my friend. Yeah, I'll brag about the homies all the time, man. Absolutely. Gas them up as much as possible. Steve over there. I don't know why I have a second video marked here, but I don't have any notes for it. I don't know what this is. Oh. Hey, I found my link for the video I couldn't find earlier. But I did end up finding it, if you recall. But anyway. Let's head to Sumi. We're going to go here to that gas station. It's just a gas station. Right there. Pretty significant drone strike hit that bad boy. Here you are. Coming up for you now. Boom. Now, there was, if I'm not mistaken, an elderly man that was injured in that. I've got some aftermath footage of what that thing did to that area here in a second. And it's gonna actually show, it's gonna show something super interesting. We'll talk about it when it comes up here. That right there. Check that out. That's primary fragmentation. So I've talked about primary versus secondary fragmentation before. Primary is something that is built into the munition itself. You know, the perforations on fragmentation grenades, or claymores in their little ball bearings that come out of there. That's primary fragmentation. Secondary fragmentation is stuff that gets kicked up and thrown out by the munition, whether that be rocks, bone, I don't know, wood. That stuff kills too. That's primary though. Let's check out the aftermath footage here. All right. Coming up. There was a question I wanted to ask. I think it was about weight loss. So I've lost somewhere north of 100 pounds. I was 270 pounds on my 5'10" frame, and that is not the right kind of 270. Let me put it to you that way. That was cake and pasta 270. So I was actually meaning to actually put something out about that. Soon I'm going to be having my blood levels checked. So separating from Funker and talking to Ronnie for a second. Soon I'm going to be having my blood levels checked. So all of that weight loss and all of my weightlifting and combat sports and all the stuff that I do has always been natural without anything other than like protein shakes. But I'm starting to feel myself slow down. So for those of you, in your 30s and up, make sure you're getting your blood work checked, because I can feel that there's something off, and you shouldn't be ashamed to go and, get testosterone replacement if you need it. Your hormones regulate so much in your body. So that's actually something I'm going to start talking about quite a bit on all the personal channels and stuff. Let's head to Kupiansk, a GBU 62. That's a JDAM. We're going to this spot here. And we're going to see the reduction of what Ukraine described as a strike supporting ground troops. That video is coming up for you guys now. Now, I couldn't find any information about what ground troops, what it is that they were doing. I don't know. It's also a little bit behind Russian lines. All right, let's bring it up. I'm going to head to Russia. I want to take you to Belgorod and show you the Belgorod Reservoir. Here you go. We're going here. So this is the one of, I don't know if there's multiple. There's probably multiple. I don't know. This one got bonked. I mean, it broke. That one is broke, and I'm going to show you what something like that can do from a battle space perspective to really massively change the environment. So make a note here, right? So this is Vovchansk. We've talked a lot about this. We've seen a ton of footage from this. Our reservoir being up here, right? Now, Ukraine hit that thing. I don't recall with what. And it has absolutely just flooded this area, and I'm going to show you that footage. But first, I'm going to show you footage of... I don't have footage of the strike. I don't think the strike was recorded. But I do have footage showing that thing kind of doing stuff it's not supposed to do. So here is that. Water is not supposed to be, rushing out of there the way it is. I guess in this circumstance, I guess some dams, yes. If you open up one of those valves, etc. But here's another showing water just pouring out of that thing. And here's what it did to the battle space, though. Let's take a look at that. I've got a couple videos that just show all the downrange flooding. That is maybe not 100% caused by that, but 100% exacerbated by that. You can obviously see it's raining. But this is reported to be somewhere along the Vovchansk axis. I don't know exactly where. There's one of those Scooby-Doo vans. Zoinks. And then here's this video.
После прорыва Белгородской дамбы
This is a Russian position.
сутки из пехоты превратились в морскую
So that's bad news,
пехоту.
man.
Но нам
If you're
повезло,
standing
вот
in
на
that,
соседней позиции
holy
вообще
yikes,
даже
dude.
затопило
Your feet are going to end up
температурой.
super effed
Ну
up.
вот так, Наташа. После прорыва Белгородской дамбы мы за сутки из пехоты превратились в морскую пехоту. Но нам повезло, а вот на соседней позиции вообще весь блиндаж затопило вместе с аппаратурой.
You don't have enough socks to deal with that. And then I've got one more here, but I don't remember which. I don't remember what this one is. Why is that there? We already watched that video. It was another link for the gas station strike. This is an interesting one. Man, drones, dude. So we talk a lot about drones, but one thing that I actually haven't seen yet is the use of micro drones. Until now, I'm going to show it to you. So the use of micro drones almost at a team level, not necessarily way up in the sky to find something, but you put up this little micro drone, push it out in front of you 300 meters and see where the bad guys are, and then you just put fire on that position. That's exactly what I'm going to show you happens next. This is a Ukrainian machine gun team, essentially with a base of fire supporting a forward element that had pushed up a little bit, that they're going to put a little micro drone out there. And they're going to find some Russians that are in concealment, not necessarily cover, and then they're going to open up with their machine guns and the rest of their rifles and, attrit their enemy. Here comes the footage. I'm just going to deal with the copyright problem on this one because I want the audio. All right. Yeah, well, I'm going to show you a video. Discretion advised. It's a Russian soldier. Here you are.
30 minutes, maybe.
Now you take from that video what you'd like to. Let's move on. I'll tell you what I take from that. Yeah, I'm not afraid to talk about things. I take from that probably a Russian soldier that's there, that's communicating with his family, he's already wounded, injured in some way, essentially trying to send one last message out to somebody. That's what I take from that. Now, feel about that how you like. That's not what I'm here to do for you. But that's my takeaway from that specific video. Let's move to this one. I'm going to show you hell in video form. Okay. At least hell from a mechanized infantry perspective. These Ukrainians had just dismounted into just an absolute firestorm. All right, let's play that again. All right, let's bring it back up. I see a really stupid comment. I want to respond to it. I take from that Ukrainians playing with a kill. It doesn't show that at all. I've seen footage of that. I've showed that stuff to you. That's just making something up to use a narrative is what that is. They flew the drone directly into him. We talked about drones pretty heavily, and how in that kind of circumstance, you know, what else do you do? That's your enemy. You know, what else do you do? Do you let him go? So he can just go back to his lines, get healed up, then just remains a capability, remains a system for the adversary to use against you. They just flew the drone into him. All right, let's move to the next one. Discretion advice for this one. This is going to be a Russian soldier making his way down the road when suddenly a Ukrainian reconnaissance team, or at least one member of a multiple member team, jumps out at very, very close range and puts a shot on him. There is a couple things that we're going to talk about. Here you go. So this guy's armed. You know, you see a lot of people talking about how he isn't, and there's a little bit of inference that we have to do with that. Right now, he's got his rifle slung from his right shoulder down to his left. That's why his elbows are pointed in the direction that they are. But when he does come up on here, you can see the rifle actually fling over his shoulder. Now, this guy, I'm not entirely sure why he emerged from cover or concealment to do this, but I don't know. Maybe he was just checking to ensure that he was armed. No idea. I'm not in this guy's shoes. But at that point, what he's doing is checking for any intelligence on him. So sensitive exploitation of, the enemy, the adversary is what that is. But notably, I wonder if this version, maybe it's the crop on this version is what it is. There's another version of this video that has a wider crop, and you actually see other team members in the like out here that are moving around. So this guy's not alone. He's out there. This Ukrainian is not alone. He's out there with like another team or something. I don't know. But I don't know why I'm not able to see that in this one. Maybe the version that we archived on the site is just a tight crop of some kind. This one's actually a wild video that's coming up next. This is a Ukrainian PAO that was doing an escort in Konstantinivka. I don't know why I didn't have that in the Konstantinivka section. But anyway, he's doing a tour of a church that has been blasted by Russians. And in the process of doing that, a Russian FPV drone starts flying around their location.
В церкву заходьте. Костя, до бою.
Слава Ісусу!
Збив.
Слава Ісусу! Господи,
Хто?
Oh, I wish I could show you guys Jeff right now. He's sleeping right outside the door, cuddling a shoe. He probably ate half the shoe.
Fiber optic. My advice, don't stay here too long, because they will come back, and we need to hide somewhere from here. Daphne, 2 pictures and go.
All right, coming up. I need to pause and say thank you for the support. Holy shit. I had a piece of ice in my mouth, and I almost choked on it, man. Cheesy. Thank you for $100, my man. That's so many dollars, and I have no idea how to thank you other than say thank you. Thanks, dude. That's amazing. Peter, thank you for the $1.43. How do you like the new Battlefield game? It's fine. Yeah, it's Battlefield. Yeah, I'm trying to unlock the MRAD. I'm a big fan of the MRAD. I just got an MRAD recently as a part of the American Marksman channel. So I'm trying to unlock that, but I suck too bad to hit the amount of headshots that I need. So we're going to give that a shot. Hopefully I'll finish that task up tonight. You're welcome to come and hang out with me while I play it in a little bit. I really want to try that Ark, was it Ark Raiders? I want to try that game though. Thanks very much for the $1.43. Mark Blue, thank you for the $10, my man. Thank you so much. Thank you guys all for the support. I don't know what else to say other than thank you. Let's move into the general section. I've got an interesting video here of a leopard, and we're running up close to the end here. Like not the kitty cat kind. But this leopard is driving down the road, just kind of bebopping, and one of those ambush drones is laying in the road, and it just kind of rolls over it here. Boop. I don't even think they noticed inside. Maybe? Yeah, it looks like they're pulling over. Might run over that log. Why was it red? I think somebody put the marker there, right? You can see that was added to the video. Right. It's like an overlay. Just to draw your attention to it. Scratch paint? Probably not. Nope. All right, let's move to this video. The only notes that I gave myself for this one is, quote, planting mines behind enemy lines. I wasn't trying to rhyme with it, but this is the 73rd Special Warfare, or the Naval Center. This is soft. Now, we've seen these guys before. So there's a very iconic trench engagement video where you've got Ukrainians pushing through a trench and Russians are kind of sneaking through it and they're just getting rocked as they walk through there. That's these guys. These guys, I don't know where this takes place, but this is, you know, essentially a mission that went into, quote unquote, behind enemy lines to plant anti-personnel mines. English in the chat. I barely speak English well, so I'm going to need you guys to just speak English in the chat, please, and thank you, so I can understand it. I speak American. All right, let's bring it up. The last one that I have for you is, once again, going to be Jason. Thank you very much for hitting the member button, man. Welcome to the Funkers. This is once again going to be machines fighting machines, and I really wish you guys would stop doing this because they're going to remember. Telling you, this is a Russian fiber optic drone targeting a Ukrainian unmanned ground vehicle, UGV. Now, we've actually seen these unmanned ground vehicles, this model specifically, being used for Kazyvac. So Ukrainians, it might have been Russians that I was watching, but it looks very much like this model would load their casualty onto this little robot, and it would essentially take them out of the battle space without having to push forward a armored vehicle, something like that. But I do want to pause on and just take a look at the amount of information on the screen here. I didn't really pay much attention to that. I'm just trying to see if there's anything of interest. So this has got something to do with the battery. Here, do I have any, technology knowers in the chat? Like, is that decreasing or increasing? It's increasing. Now, I've also seen these drones used for things like ammo, for supplies, food, stuff like that. All right, so actually what it looks like we've got here is you've got 50% of the battery left, with this being the total mAh expended, right? So that gives you an understanding, in my opinion. I don't know. Correct me if I'm wrong here. We can derive what its expenditure rate is, right? We can derive what the total capacity of the battery is. So if we're at 50% down here, yeah, that's what it is. So this is what it's using right now, and as it gets closer and closer to its target, that gets less and less because the operator's coming off the stick a little bit. But yeah. So we can absolutely do that. So we're about 50% here, so doubles 7,300 or so, 7,400, and that's the total capacity of the battery on this thing. That kind of stuff is intelligence, man. I'm just being honest. That is what it is. Were I sitting at the terminal still doing all source analysis, I would want to know that kind of stuff, right? Because from that you can then derive capabilities. If there are certain drone elements that Russia has that are known to have higher capabilities versus less capabilities, you can then start attributing things. That's all data. That's all data. People will talk a lot about why is this always blurred out? And that's operation security, in my opinion. That's going to be it, guys. I always have one more video for you. Just remember, there's always one more video. Like even when I'm over on the next stream, which you should totally come and hang out while, we play some Battlefield, drink some bourbon, and talk about this stream, talk about American Marksman, talk about gaming and giving back to veteran charity a little bit. But even when I'm over there or I'm here, I always have one more video for you. And I want to remind you guys that you should not ever outrun your headlights. I learned that when I was first learning to ride a bike. Never outride your headlights. Whether or not you pick up what I'm throwing down when you watch this video is entirely up to you. I'm out of here. I'm going to see you guys. I won't see you next Friday. And I don't know if I'm going to see you on Tuesday because I got to fly Wednesday morning. Pretty sure it's Wednesday morning. So maybe come hang out with me on the after show. But the week following that, I will be back for another episode of the Combat Footage Review. Thanks very much for being here. I'll see you on the after show tonight. Go be great and stay informed.
Oh shit! Oh shit! Oh shit! Oh shit! Hook the guy. Medic. Oh shit!
He shot himself. Good night.
Oh shit!